We don't get no justice. They don't get no peace. We don't get no justice. They don't get no peace.
All right, guys. Well, it looks like it is riot season again. But then again, has it ever ended? Because it seems like these people are constantly protesting everything. Doesn't matter what it is. And honestly, I don't even think that they know what it is that they're protesting. I think that's pretty clear. But what I think is interesting is how they used to keep the idea that they were being paid to do this under the rug. They were trying to keep it hush hush. They were trying to make it seem like this was organic and that these people were really out here doing something that they truly believed in. But I don't think that's the case. Not at all. And I think we are seeing more and more evidence to suggest that they're doing this for other reasons. Because every time you try to ask these people why they're doing what they're doing, they don't have an answer for you. So we're going to look at a couple of clips from interviews of people talking to these protesters and just pointing out some of the obvious facts that suggest that there's a lot of money behind these. And we've known that this is true for a long time, but it seems like they're not even hiding it anymore. And then I just want to go into why I find such a big problem with this. I mean, aside from the obvious reasons, but why I find this problematic on a personal and moral level, especially when these people like to lecture us about morality. But before we get too much further, I'm Outspoken Samantha. I appreciate you so much for being here. Please hit the like button on this video and subscribe to my channel. Thank you so much for doing both of those things. So the first clip we're going to look at is from this lovely woman who seems to have found her entire purpose in protesting, which is really, really sad. But here we go.
I quit my job for this. And I've been having flare-ups and stuff, so it's like I can barely, and I have panic attack.
You said when you heard the sirens, you immediately ran out. Where were you?
I was about 15 minutes away.
And what were you doing?
I was disassociating on my bed. I mean, I might as well put my time to something useful. If you see in the video, everything, it was not self-defense by that terrorist. It was not.
How did your boss respond when you quit?
It was like a part-time. I'm getting back after a lot happened recently in my life, so sometimes disability takes my life over, and I'm still kind of in shock. Like,
School's been canceled. Have people been taking off work for this? Have you had to take off work for this?
quit my job for this.
So this woman is openly admitting that she quit her job for this. Mind you, it was just a part-time job. But it seems to be that this is something where more people are doing it and it is becoming their income. And like I said, I don't even think that they're hiding it anymore, but I do find it really sad. And I do have to question what your motives are for being involved in a protest when there is money involved, because it doesn't seem to me like you would be there because you actually believe in the cause or even know what the cause is about, but because it's for an income. And at that point, do you care what the consequences or the outcome of if the thing that you're protesting for actually took place? So that's a problem. Let's look at another one. So this one is pretty quick, but she says exactly what we've all known to be true for a long time.
Shame! Shame!
Do you have a job? Do you have a job?
Shame! Shame! I'm getting paid right now! Shame! Shame! Shame!
I love how the interviewer just gives him a thumbs up, like, all right, that's what we wanted. Like they confirmed what we came out here to find out. So she is being paid, and I'm wondering if her script is to just yell shame, shame. Like, your job today is to yell shame, shame at anybody that shows up. Do we understand how mindless that this is, and how low of a level of your own personal convictions and morals that you have to have for somebody just to be able to pay you to say whatever it is that they want you to say, and you don't really care what it is as long as they give you money? That's wild. Now, this particular protest caught my attention aside from the complete insanity of what it was based on, because this was a free Maduro protest right after this evil dictator had been released. The left constantly says that they fight for minority communities, that they're here for Black and brown people, that they want them to be freed from oppression, and that they're against dictatorships. Yet they took to the streets immediately within a couple of hours of hearing that Maduro had been captured to demand that he be set free and to return to his country to put Black and brown people back under oppression and to put the dictator back in power. Make it make sense. But I thought, I mean, it was just wild how quickly this protest popped up with professionally made signs that were accurate to the message. They all looked the same across every single city where these protests were happening. And it's like, how is this happening so quickly? There's like a whole bunch of people marching that aren't even saying anything. They just seem to be like these people here, this guy with the green hoodie, the look on his face is just like, yeah, maybe his girlfriend there with the green hair dragged him to it. And he's just like, whatever, I'm just here because she wanted me to be here. I don't really care about this message. Like, he's not even there because he actually cares about what's going on or cares about this cause. He's just being dragged into it. But she's probably like, it'll be good money, babe. It'll help us pay the rent this month. We'll get all our bills paid. Maybe we can take a vacation. Like, it's just so disturbing that there's so many motivations behind getting involved in these things that have nothing to do with actually caring what the message is about. Let's look at a couple more. So this is from just last night where people are protesting because of the unaliving of Renee Good. And so they're out here. They managed to switch messages pretty quickly. Like, they were organized about Maduro being captured just a few days ago. And now they're organized to fight against ICE agents and protest specifically on behalf of Renee Good. Well, that's enough of that. You know, these ICE agents have the patience of a saint to be standing there in the freezing cold. The reason that they are out there is because of these grown adult toddlers that have the emotional control of a 2-year-old, that have the mental capacity of somebody with an IQ below like 65. And they just have to stand there and take it. And they're just like, if this wasn't happening right now, I would be at home with my family. I would be at home in my warm bed or in my hotel room, which these people are attacking now. But I would be able to just do my job and not have to deal with it. But because these grown adult children are out here making life miserable for absolutely everybody, because that's all they do, and they're being paid to do it, then I've got to get my butt out here in the streets, in the snow, to make sure that they don't cause total chaos and destruction. Ultimately, I do think it's important to understand that 100% these protests are being paid for. They are being funded. They are being well organized by people who absolutely want to destroy America. And they are using these liberal activist puppets who have no real morals or conviction or belief in anything of their own. So that's why they can be, pointed in any direction with any message, and they don't care and they don't think twice about it. And they don't care if last week they were saying something completely different and this week the message is completely different. And they don't care if what they believe in shifts every other second. It can be the most heinous and disgusting thing that they believe in and that they're advocating for. None of that crosses their mind. It's important to understand that these are being funded. This woman is talking about Roy Singham, who is the one that is funding all of these groups, or at least a large part of them. So I do think it's important to hear. This is about 2 minutes long.
Have you been seeing these hands-off Venezuela protests and wondering who's organizing them? How did they pop up so fast? And why are they defending a brutal dictator? Well, here's the answer. One of the main groups behind these protests is the same organization that helped fuel the pro-Palestine protests across campuses and cities over the last few years. It's called the People's Forum, a far-left activist group based in New York City. And it's funded almost entirely by one man, Neville Roy Singham, a multimillionaire tech entrepreneur turned Marxist. Singham is married to Jody Evans, the founder of Code Pink, the group best known for storming congressional hearings, smearing fake blood on their hands, and harassing lawmakers in the halls of Congress. Now, let's zoom out. The People's Forum is essentially a headquarters for professional activists. They describe themselves as, quote, a movement incubator for working class and marginalized communities. In practice, from their sleek Midtown Manhattan building, they host classes like Anti-Fascist Theater of the Oppressed, Collage Making for Liberation, and a 6-week course called A Summer School for Socialism. Last year, I began investigating the People's Forum after noticing something striking. They were central drivers of anti-Israel protests immediately after October 7th. One rally they co-hosted took place on October 8th, just one day after the massacre, before Israel had even finished counting its dead. The People's Forum is also behind protests against National Guard deployments in U.S. cities, anti-ICE, and now Venezuela. Back then, I followed the money, and public disclosure forms and financial records show that Singham and Evans funneled more than $20.4 million to the People's Forum between 2017 and 2022, accounting for nearly all of the group's funding. And they did this using a web of shell organizations and donor-advised funds. And Singham isn't just sympathetic to the Chinese Communist Party. Evidence suggests he's actively funded media outlets that praise Chinese leader Xi Jinping while ignoring or denying China's human rights abuses. So, when you see these protests pop up overnight, now you know they're not authentic or grassroots. They're funded, they're organized, and they're part of a much bigger ideological machine pushing socialism and an anti-American agenda.
So yeah, these things are not organic, obviously. They are being heavily funded by a communist/Marxist. And what I think is interesting is when they are teaching or training their activist puppets to engage in this stuff, they're doing it under the guise of fighting for marginalized communities and creating equity or equality or whatever the word of the day is. But if they accomplished their goal, there would be no equality, and equity means that we would all be living in total poverty and being controlled by propaganda and have no rights whatsoever while the elite controlled us. So everything that they are training these people on and telling them as the purpose for what they are trying to do is still a total lie. So if they accomplish what they want, everything that these activists think that they're fighting against is actually going to happen. But they're not smart enough to know that. But ultimately, it's just wild to me that people want to lecture us about morality and about being brainwashed and being in a cult. And what they believe in is based on whatever email they get that day. Because one of the things that stood out to me about this particular protest is that this woman is reading something from her phone. So it's like they all got this email saying, this is what we're going to chant about today. This is our message. This is our cause. Here is the chant that you need to read, because you know that these people didn't write these things themselves, not that quickly. They're not that smart. So when I say that whatever their belief of the day is based on their email, that's literally what I mean. They wait to get that message in the inbox. They wait to be told what they're going to say. They wait for the delivery or the, pickup spot of their signs. And that's what they stand for on a daily basis. And when you have so little morality, when you have so little conviction, when you are so lost on what it is that you stand for, people can get you to do anything. And if it's based on a paycheck, especially, like that's your motivation. You're not motivated by the cause. You don't care what it is that it's trying to accomplish. You don't care what the outcome is. And they can get you to stand for something truly, truly evil, and you're not even thinking twice about it. So I really don't want to be lectured by these people about, again, morals, being a cult, and being brainwashed. Because nobody could ever pay me to say anything. Nobody could ever give me a script and tell me this is what you believe in. That will never, ever, ever happen. What I believe in has never changed. These are the people that have changed. And they change on a daily and minute by minute basis. And that is probably one of the most evil, corrupt, immoral, inhumane things that I've ever seen in my lifetime. So that is just what I wanted to touch on today. I just wanted it to be part of the conversation so that we're all well aware that the people that we're facing don't have a real solid belief system. They can really be pointed in any direction, and they don't really care what it is as long as they get something in their bank account, which to me is at least one of the many definitions of evil. But I would love to hear all of your thoughts on this in the comments below. Thank you so much for being here. Please hit the like button and subscribe to my channel. As you guys know, we always end with Charlie Kirk, so keep it real, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.
Soros is a radical ideologue who is the closest thing to evil on earth that any of us will encounter. And under the guise of diversity, he has said we must open up all the borders of the West and allow for cultural destruction, essentially. And under the guise of diversity, we have now seen the fall of the United Kingdom. Have you guys been seeing what's happening in London recently? Oh my goodness, it's coming here next. The two quickest ways you destroy a country is through mass inflation and mass immigration. It is the two easiest ways to destroy a country.